Manchester City, of course, they have now been charged by the Premier League with more than 100 breaches of its financial rules following a 4-year investigation. Have a listen to this.
There is no doubting the severity of this. Nothing like this has ever happened, has it, in English football? Nothing like it. And I think if half of these 100 plus charges are proved, then there will be, the other clubs will sort of expect that they're relegated. I can't really see any other. It's across 14 seasons, so 9 seasons of breaching financial regulations and 5 seasons of not cooperating with an investigation. I mean, it just doesn't get any more serious than this.
I mean, this could be one of the biggest, not just football, but sports stories of all time. For more on this, we're going to be joined by talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Hello, Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent. How are you doing?
Yeah, good evening. Happy birthday, Benty. James Tarkowski sends his regards.
Oh,
Crookie, come on.
I mean, that's below the belt, isn't it?
Tarkowski with the goal. Honestly, these characters. Crookie, you're better than... Well, I thought you were better than that.
Of course he's not better than that. Good work, Crookie. Right, listen, can you just explain exactly what has happened today and where we're up to with this? Because, as I said, it's going to be... Well, for Man City fans, it could be just horrific.
Well, we got this bombshell statement, didn't we, from the Premier League, actually just as Jim White and Simon Jordan came on air this morning, listing the breaches that they're investigating with regards to Manchester City, as Martin Ziegler there was saying. They go back to 2009. There are 100 or thereabouts in total. And the implications and the punishment, if Manchester City are found guilty of these breaches, could be very significant. They range from hefty fines to possible points deductions and even relegation from the Premier League. What I would say, particularly to those Leeds fans who've been messaging saying, well, it doesn't matter who's the manager, there's only 2 relegation places now. I don't think this is going to be a quick resolution. I think there's going to be all kinds of legal claims and counterclaims. This could drag on for years. We got that 79-word statement from Manchester City saying they were surprised by the findings. And I think also they note the timing of this statement from the Premier League, because we're a couple of days away from the government releasing this fabled white paper telling us what is going to happen with a fan-led review. And we know one of the elements in there is that they want independent regulation for the Premier League. The Premier League have really pushed against that. So is there a possibility that this is the Premier League flexing their muscles and saying to the government, we don't need independent regulation, we are more than capable of regulating our own clubs?
Well, Crookie, you might have stolen the thunder a little bit there, because that was my next question, was why the Premier League doing this right now?
The timing is a coincidence, and I can understand the conspiracy theory, but they've spent a long time, haven't they, building up this dossier. I suppose they now feel they have the sufficient findings to press go and release that statement. But it's a seismic moment. As Martin Ziegler was saying there, we've never seen anything like this in the Premier League. It's probably the most seismic story off the pitch since the competition was founded back in 1992. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. And there are some more key points on this, because, of course, City were in breach, allegedly, of UEFA's FFP regulations. They got that overturned by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They can't go down that route this time, because under Premier League regulations, you can't use that by way of appeal. But also the timing is interesting, because one of the reasons that in the end those charges didn't stand from UEFA was because it was ruled they couldn't go back so historically. Again, the Premier League don't have that rule, hence the fact they've been able to go back quite a few seasons.
Now, Crookie, I'm always a little bit sceptical. When you've got a club and a powerhouse with that amount of wealth, I always think, what's the worst that's going to happen to them? But can you generally, in this situation, see them potentially getting relegated or having a severe punishment?
I think it depends on the ultimate findings. I think it would be huge, wouldn't it? And it'd be huge for the Premier League brand as well. And that word gets bandied around probably too much in the modern game, but it isn't a great look if you look at the fact that City have won the title on so many occasions in recent years. If there was anything to tarnish that, as sort of asterisk put against it, I don't think that would be a great look for the Premier League. But maybe the Premier League might see this as an opportunity to make an example of one of the highest profile clubs in the country. What I would say is Manchester City, as per their statement, do seem quite relaxed about this. They're fairly confident they will be found to have done nothing wrong.
We touched on it ever so briefly. I've got so many questions for you. It's taken 4 years for the Premier League to reach this verdict. Realistically, because Man City are going to fight this for as long as they can. Realistically, when do you think anything could happen?
I mean, how long is a piece of string? As I say, I don't see a resolution this season. Maybe not even next. It depends how long all the various challenges take. You're talking months, if not years. I think it really is. It's a bit of a minefield as well, isn't it?
Quickly, what is interesting is I want to discuss what this means for the manager, Pep Guardiola. Have a listen to this. This is fascinating. In May last year, Pep, the Man City boss, said this.
When I defend the club and the people, it's because I work with them. And when they're suspicious or the people accuse something, I ask to them, tell me about that. And when I say this was like this, like that, and like that, okay, I believe them. Because I said to them, if you lie to me, the day after I'm here, I will be out and you will not be my friend anymore. So I put your face because I believe you completely 100% from the day one. And I defend the club because it's that.
If you lie to me, I will be out. That's Pep Guardiola, the Man City manager. Do you think he could go?
Well, again, I guess ultimately it will be determined by the outcome of these charges and by the punishment. I mean, if Manchester City were relegated from the Premier League, I don't see Pep Guardiola hanging around long for the journey anyway. But I mean, that's big. That's a big moral claim, isn't it? If they're lying to me, I will go. And his press conference in the build-up to their next Premier League game at the weekend is going to be fascinating because you can bet the first question will be about those comments, and it'll be interesting to see how he responds.